Tonight, Fox 17 News investigates a mid-state foster mother's effort to hold the Tennessee Department of Children's Services accountable.
Well, she says a DCS supervisor lost her cool during a visit to her home and mistreated a 4-year-old girl. Fox 17 News' Amanda Chin sitting down with the foster mom and pushing DCS for answers about how the entire case was handled.
This foster parent wants to share her story out of concern for the safety and well-being of children in state custody. The Department of Children's Services confirms to Fox 17 a caseworker in the story we're about to tell you still works for the department. And that's not sitting well with one Clarksville woman who now feels like a target. Jesica Llana says she signed up to be a foster mother to provide the love and care every child deserves. Over the years, Llana has had more than 50 foster placements, including 5 siblings she received in November of 2022.
I get a call a few days later, I think on November 8th, if I'm not mistaken, about the 4 siblings. They wanted me just to take the youngest of the siblings and split up the rest of them. I said, no, don't do that. Bring them here. I'll take them all.
Llana says a DCS caseworker and supervisor came to her home to pick up the 5 children, including a 4-year-old girl, since Llana had to work. During the visit, she says the young girl gently touched her baby brother's face out of excitement. That's when Llana claims things took a turn for the worse regarding the supervisor's behavior.
There's only maybe 2 feet, 3 feet between the ottoman where I had the baby laying and my fireplace. She snatched that baby, that little 4-year-old girl, flung her backwards and started swearing at her, shut the F up or I'll give you an effing reason to cry.
Llana says the young girl began screaming out of fear as this DCS supervisor dragged her. Eventually, Llana says the DCS workers left her home, but she was not happy. Llana reached out to more than a dozen lawmakers and DCS Commissioner Margie Quinn to ask for action on the case supervisor's behavior. Emails reveal Llana had a sit down with the executive director of child programs.
I continuously asked what happened. Is there a meeting? Like, are we going to have a meeting? Oh, we already had the meeting. What do you mean you had the meeting? Why wasn't I involved in this meeting? This happened in my home.
Fox 17 News verified the name of this caseworker, and DCS confirms she still works at the department. We are not naming the supervisor because she hasn't been charged. Fox 17 News submitted a public records request for this supervisor's personnel file, along with any records of disciplinary actions taken. The state has not responded to our request. Llana says the Department of Children's Services told her the department did an internal investigation. We also requested the results of the investigation from the Department of Children's Services, but the state denied that request too, saying producing those records is against the law. Tennessee Code 10504 states all investigative records and reports of the Internal Affairs Division of the Department of Correction or of the Department of Children's Services shall be treated as confidential and shall not be open to inspection by members of the public. Llana remains upset about the case supervisor.
Still has access to children. And they've recently closed my foster home because I am adamant about bringing kids, protecting them and bringing these individuals that hurt these children to justice. But there's no justice for the kids in state care.
The head of Middle Tennessee's National Action Network, Cheryl Huff, is working with Llana.
If you want to run a good system, if you want the system to change, you have to hire people that's going to change it.
Llana says DCS took the foster baby boy out of her home in June of this year. A month later, Llana received this letter from DCS, closing her foster home with a bad standing report citing DCS Foster Policy 1616B, which says, quote, failure to preserve contractual partnership with the department by interfering with permanency goals, promoting negative speech regarding the department or partner contract agencies.
Nobody cares. And that's the problem that we're facing with the Department of Children's Services. There's no accountability.
Llana says she plans to take legal action against the Department of Children's Services. She feels the department ignored her concerns and did not take proper action to protect her foster children and the future of kids in state custody. Reporting in the studio, I'm Amanda Chin, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.